The fading light of a cold autumn afternoon seeped into Chase Bank's marble-floored halls, a quiet portent of the storm to come in the hushed corridors of the Rock VW branch. C.K. Kira's revelation unsettled more than just the building. It awakened long dormant secrets that threatened to upend everything the institution had stood for. His measured departure, clutching an ancient ledger and a heavy sack of documents, left behind a trail of whispered questions and uneasy glances. Every soul present sensed that the bank's hidden past was about to erupt into an unpredictable present inside Temp, a senior official whose faith in the institution's stored legacy had long been unshaken. Reread the ledger with trembling hands. Each line of faded ink struck him like a dagger, exposing betrayals and a history built on deceit. The documents hinted at a conspiracy that reached far beyond the personal vendetta between Kirby and his once trusted partner, John. Well, now these revelations threatened to dismantle the comfortable myth generations had constructed around Chase Bank. Call an emergency meeting, Temp ordered in a low, urgent tone, his eyes scanning the anxious faces of his colleagues as he spoke. His mind raced with questions. Who had orchestrated Kira Beasia? Had these secrets been buried purposely or allowed to surface by a hidden hand? Outside, the crisp autumn air carried murmurs of disbelief and fear, amplifying the sense that the bank was at the center of a much larger drama. Soon the bank's lobby buzzed with frantic whispers. Stephen, the security guard who moments earlier had casually reached for his holster, now stood rigidly by the door, his eyes darting among the employees as if searching for signs of collusion. Before the tension could subside, a sleek black car pulled up outside from it. Emerged a sharply dressed man with cold, calculating eyes that seemed to miss nothing. "I'm Agent Malcolm Reyes," he announced in a clipped tone that brooked no argument. "I work for the National Financial Oversight Unit. We have evidence that your local squabble is part of a larger network of financial fraud, possibly even money laundering on a national scale." In the boardroom, where Temp and a handful of officials had gathered, stunned silence fell. The ledger lay open before them like a cursed relic herald. A board member murmured, "This ledger wasn't forgotten, it was hidden deliberately." But by whom? The revelation that Chase Bank's true origin was obscured by layers of deception sent ripples of panic through the room. In that charged moment, every person present understood that their bank was not merely a victim of personal betrayal, but a pawn in a grander scheme engineered by powerful unseen forces. T's mind raced back to half-remembered conversations and old rumors as had John Williams acted alone in erasing Kira's rightful claim? Or was there another conspirator, a secret benefactor whose identity lay hidden behind the veil of institutional power? Before he could voice these doubts, the boardroom door burst open. Standing in the doorway was Agent Reyes, whose presence confirmed that this was no local matter, but part of a vast national investigation. "We have discovered similar documents in several cities over the past decade," Reyes explained. "If the ledger is genuine, it reveals a deliberate manipulation of financial records meant to hide illicit funds. The conspiracy extends far beyond your town." Outside, amidst mounting tension, a young teller whose earlier innocent mischief with a faded banknote had not gone unnoticed was swiftly escorted away by nervous employees. Stephen's eyes caught a familiar figure in the crowd. A wiry man in a ragged coat, his eyes full of anxious intensity. The man's gaze locked with Cabe's, who now lingered at the threshold, his weathered face inscrutable. Mr. Kirby, Reyes called, "I need you to come with me for further questioning. Your ledger is now evidence." Kira's eyes flickered between defiance and resignation. "I didn't come here to cause trouble," he murmured, his voice trembling but resolute. "I only came to reclaim what was stolen from me, and now you tell me I'm entangled in a web of deceit that spans more than just personal betrayal." With that, he allowed himself to be led away, leaving behind a room brimming with questions and rising suspicions. As dusk deepened, the black car's engine mid into the night, carrying Kirby to a sterile interrogation room, where Agent Reyes began his inquiry. Your ledger. Reyes said carefully, has surfaced at a time when our investigation is closing in on a network of financial fraud that crosses state lines. Explain why you kept these documents all these years. Kirby leaned forward, his voice a whisper, heavy with both sorrow and determination. I waited for the truth to emerge. These papers were all I had left to prove that my legacy was stolen. I realize that silence is complicit in treachery. Rhea's tone turned ominous. I must warn you, if you conceal any further evidence, you will be permanently silenced outside the interrogation room. A storm was brewing, not just in the form of a national investigation, but within the very heart of Rock VW, what the bank news of the investigation spread like wildfire. The board members, still reeling from the earlier revelations, gathered in a dim corner to debate their next move. We can't allow this to spiral out of control, Harold insisted. If Agent Reyes is correct, our institution is implicated in crimes far beyond personal betrayal. Our very history is a sham temp. His eyes haunted, clutched, the ledger and mermaid. I always believed in our legacy. Now I see we've been complicit in covering up sins that run deep in that moment. It became clear that the bank's past was a dangerous puzzle, whose pieces threatened to destroy everything they had built. Then came the arrival of M. Eloise Harper, the bank's long-retired archist whose presence commanded immediate attention, clad in a faded uniform. Her eyes scanned the room with the intensity of one who had witnessed too much. I've seen things hidden in these walls for decades, she said quietly, unrolling a brittle sheet of paper from a battered envelope. There are records here older than these ledgers, records that suggest the bank was founded as part of a secret consortium. The true founders were not local businessmen, but figures deeply involved in money laundering for political ICAL elites. Her words sent shockwaves through the gathered officials. The comfortable narrative of Chase Bank was unraveling, before their eyes replaced by a tale of corruption, betrayal, and ruthless ambition. Even as Agent Reyes's car rumbled away with Kirby in tow, the revelations continued to pile up within hours. The community's initial shock gave way to a simmering debate at a hastily organized town hall meeting. Tabor addressed an anxious crowd. Today we face not only the injustice done to one man, but the exposure of a betrayal that has infected our entire community, he declared solemnly. We must decide, do we cling to the lies of our past, or do we embrace a future built on the painful truth? His words resonated deeply with many, while others feared the consequences of unmasking long-held secrets before the meeting could settle. A group of masked individuals burst through the doors. Their faces were hidden beneath dark scarves, and their voices rang out with desperate fury. We know what you hide, and we demand the truth amid the chaos. A young teller stepped forward, her voice trembling, but clear. Stop. We cannot let fear dictate our actions. If we allow darkness and violence to rule, we lose everything we've fought for. Her plea broke the tension. Slowly the masked intruders lowered their weapons, their anger cooling into a mix of determination and despair. The meeting continued with renewed urgency. Rumors swelled that the mysterious Miss Jade, once a trusted aide of John Williams, was involved. Before long, Miss Jade removed her disguise to reveal her true identity as Elena, a former employee of the powerful Matt family. With eyes full of regret and resolve, she began to recount the bank's hidden history. Years ago, I was complicit in the fraud that raised C.K. Kira's name. She admitted, her voice heavy with sorrow. I believed that loyalty to power was the only path to survival, but as I saw the innocent suffer, I realized that our lies had become a monstrous weight crushing hope. I am here now to expose the truth, not to defame, but to redeem us all. Elena's confession rocked the assembly. Her detailed account of secret meetings, forged documents, and manipulated ledgers paint a picture of betrayal so vast that even Kira's struggle seemed only one battle in a long war against corruption. Temp, though broken by the depth of the deceit, felt a stirring of hope. Then, "What do we do now?" he asked in a voice barely above a whisper. "How do we bring justice to those who have exploited our trust for generations?" A murmur of voices arose among the citizens, a chorus of uncertainty mingled with a desire for change. Plans were quick formed for a public inquiry, and a team of independent investigators was assembled to scrutinize every document in the bank's history. Agent Reyes, now working with local authorities, vowed that no stone would be left unturned, even if it meant risking his own safety. As night fell, Kirby was temporarily released on bail pending further questioning. He returned to Rockview under heavy guard, greeted by a mix of admiration and suspicion at a quiet memorial service held in the bank's courtyard. Kirby spoke softly, yet firmly. "I have seen the worst. Betrayal a man can endure, but I have also witnessed the healing power of truth. Our past may be scarred, but it is our duty to reclaim our legacy with honesty and courage." In the days that followed, investigators combed through endless archives and hidden files. A previously unknown beneficiary, a distant relative of the original founders named Franklin Cole, emerged with a claim to a share of the bank's profits. His testimony added another layer to the unfolding drama, suggesting that the conspiracy was not an isolated incident, but part of a continuous effort to rewrite history. Temp, Elena, and a small team of trusted investigators soon found themselves drawn to a derelict warehouse on the outskirts of Rockview, inside the forgotten building, amid stacks of abandoned boxes and yellowed ledges. They uncovered evidence that confirmed their darkest suspicions. Photographs, sealed envelopes, and cryptic correspondences linking high-ranking officials and influential business magnates to the bank's illicit activities. Among these was a faded portrait of a stern-faced man bearing the initials R.V. beneath it, accompanied by a single chilling line to be remembered as the guardian of our true legacy. That discovery proved to be the turning point. It validated Elena's revelations and hinted at a deeper conspiracy, one meticulously orchestrated by powerful figures who would stop at nothing to keep the truth hidden with the evidence in hand. T and his team prepared for what might be the final confrontation with the forces behind the bank's dark past. At a public assembly held in the renovated bank, a building that had become a symbol of both disgrace and resilience, T stood before a crowd of anxious citizens. Documents and photographs were spread out on long tables for all to see. Today, he declared, "We expose a betrayal that spans decades. No longer will we allow corruption to dictate our future. We will bring every truth to light, however painful the revelation may be, as the evidence was laid bare." The people of Rockview felt a stirring of unity, a resolve to rebuild on a foundation of transparency. Shortly after the assembly, Agent Reyes arrived with a contingent of federal officers. They had traced the financial trails across state line, and arrests were made that very morning. High-ranking officials, business leaders, and even local politicians were implicated in the grand design to erase C.K. Kira's rightful legacy. The revelation sent shockwaves not only through Rockview, but throughout the region. The old myth of Chase Bank was shattered, and in its place emerged a call for a new beginning, one built on honesty and accountability. Kirby, now a reluctant hero, was eventually released from custody. He walked back into town beneath a sky that promised both redemption and uncertainty. At a quiet memorial held in the bank's courtyard, he reflected, "Truth has a way of rising from even the deepest betrayals. We must remain vigilant, for every triumph over darkness is followed by new challenges." His words resonated with the citizens gathered that day, a community now united by the shared responsibility of guarding against future deceptions. Over the subsequent months, as investigations continued and the consortium's hold crumbled, Rockview itself began to transform. The Kirby legacy bank was restructured not simply as a financial institution, but as a center for community memory and civic education. Cold Wars were replaced by murals depicting the town's true history, and playas were installed to honor those who had fought for Justice. Elena dedicated herself to educating the youth about the perils of unchecked power, while Temp worked tirelessly with federal investigators and community leaders to ensure that the past would never be allowed to repeat itself yet. As the town began to heal, a final twist emerged one quiet winter evening. After the last snowfall had softened the edges of the world, a small envelope arrived at the bank's newly established archive. There was no return address, only a cryptic symbol embossed on the paper identical to that seen on the original founder seal. Inside, a single handwritten note read, "The end is but a beginning. Trust, not only in what you have uncovered, but in the vigilance that must follow for those who read it." The message was clear. While the truth had triumphed today, darkness could always return if its guardians grew complacent. The note sent a shiver through the archivists and investigators alike. Even as the community celebrated its newfound transparency, a lingering awareness settled in, a reminder that the battle for truth was never truly over. In whispered conversations in cafes and hurried meetings on park benches, citizens vowed to remain ever watchful. They had reclaimed their legacy, but they knew that each triumph was only a pause before the next challenge. Thus, as the first light of spring filtered through the stained glass windows of the reformed Bank Rock, view emerged from its dark past with cautious optimism. The saga of C.K. Kirby, the betrayal of a once trusted institution, and the unyielding quest for truth had forever altered the community's fabric. Every whispered secret, every bold confession, and every act of redemption reaffirmed that while the battle against corruption might be endless, the light of truth would always guide them. And so, as another day dawned over Rockview, its citizens, tempered by hardship yet buoyed by hope, stepped forward with a vigilant promise to honor the lessons learned in blood and paper, and to guard the fragile beacon of truth against the ever-looming shadows of greed and deception. For in every whispered secret and every act of courage lay the promise of a new beginning, a legacy not of silence but of unyielding courage in the pursuit of justice. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, sparked your curiosity, or challenged your view of the past, join our community, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters, and together we can unearth more hidden stories waiting to be told.